Hello, it is me, Pearl from Pearl and the Prayers. That is Bowie back there in the corner. And this is Tuned In Tarot, and we are here to take a look at the balance between the divine masculine and divine feminine energy. And we, oh my gosh, within. I can't even think of what I'm saying today. And we will see that energy reflected back to us in our external environment, in our interactions with others. And if we want to see change, we do need to shift the energy within ourselves first, and then it will likely change outside of ourselves. And we shift energy by noticing our thoughts. When we sense our feelings, well, we feel our feelings. We notice, are those feelings good? Are those feelings bad? If they're good feelings, we're like, oh, what thoughts am I having that are continuing to keep me in this space of feeling good? And we're like, okay, I'm going to think more thoughts like that. And if they're feelings that are like not so good, we're like, okay, well, what thoughts am I thinking that are giving me these feelings that are not so good? And then we look at those thoughts and we try to squeeze those thoughts out. We try to push them out by thinking different thoughts that make feel better. You don't try to stop having the thoughts that you're having, because it's really difficult to do that. You know, stop thinking about a purple elephant means that's what you have to think about in order to try to stop thinking about it. So we don't do restrictive mental diets here. We do additive diets. We add in things that are good for us and crowd out the thoughts that really aren't serving us. That's the actual method for shifting energy. But first, you have to know where your energy is. And sometimes we're not as aware of it, especially because we may be more tuned into one side of ourselves than another. We may be really comfortable with our emotions, our feelings, our expression of those feelings, and less comfortable with taking action, strategizing, planning, intellectualizing. Sometimes we're really good at both things and really poor at certain aspects in both of those energies. And it's reflected back to us in all of the people that we interact with. So I made up a new reading today. It's called the Why Am I Single reading? Why Am I Still Single reading? And I thought that for those of you that have been on this journey for a long freaking time, you'll probably appreciate this topic for this reading. Hi, Tanya. How are you doing, babes? And we're going to look at first the, I guess I'm leaning towards the feminine here. So we're going to look at the feminine energy first, and we're going to ask the feminine energy through 2 decks of cards. Why do you think you're still single? And why do you feel you're still single? Then we'll go over and look at the masculine side, and then we'll get advice from both sides on how to shift their thinking. Hi, Cheryl. Welcome. Good to see you. First, let me just do a tiny bit of housekeeping. Number one thing I want to say is that for those of you right now on my Pearl's Prayers account, this account is shifting towards music and inspiring people to follow their passions. I am not going to be reading cards on this account. So if you want to see me, well, I'm going to be doing it from the lives until my Tuned In Tarot goes live. Once my Tuned In Tarot account has 1,000 followers, which we're really close, I think I'm like around 750 or so. I think I need like a couple hundred more. When I hit 1,000 followers and I can go live, I will read tarot cards from Tuned In Tarot. And then Pearl's Prayers is going to be stuff that's more involved with my music, with my band, something like that. So that's just a little bit of housekeeping for my TikTok followers. If you have a subscription on Pearl's Prayers, I will honor it on Tuned In Tarot. I'm trying to move away from the subscription model because I'm really tired of TikTok getting money from it. So at some point, I'm just gonna I'm just not promoting it. I don't want gifts through the app anymore. Just if you really want to donate or gift me something, go through my website, because I do not want to share the proceeds with TikTok anymore, especially after finding out like how shady they have been with their creators. I just not interested in giving them a lot of money. While I do have this space to be able to communicate with you, I'm very thankful for it, but I don't like feeling manipulated into purchasing promotional posts and stuff like that in order to keep my account growing. That just doesn't feel right to me. So I'm going to just read on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and I'm going to post in those places, but I'm not going to be doing anything to try to enrich those platforms. So if you wanted to help me out, please go to the link in my profile and donate Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App. There's places where you can book readings. You can also type in tunedintarot.com. You can see there all the ways to interact with me in terms of tarot readings, etc. But those are the main ways that if you're really wanting to support me financially or my channel, please use my website. So become a member on the website rather than subscribing. But I'm still going to honor subscriptions that for the people that have them. Now, I just wouldn't renew them if I were you. If you still want 2-card readings when I'm doing live readings, you can become a member on my site. It's actually a little cheaper. It's $5.55 instead of $5.99. And I will still do the 2-card readings for members, basically on an honor system, because I will not have everybody screen name memorize. So we'll figure it out. But that's a little bit of housekeeping for that. The other thing I have to ask is, please go follow the Tuned In Tarot account if you haven't already done that on TikTok so that I can go live. That's a big one. Please do all of the energetic things to grow my account, because there is organic growth on TikTok. It's just there's no more of this like boosting of my account because I'm enriching them things. So it really will have to happen organically for my account to grow. So any of the interactions or engagement that you're doing on any of these platforms is helping me to grow. And the final thing is, it's the end of the month. I have bills due in a few days. I had 22 days of no sales this month, which was probably the worst it's ever been. And while I did make a sale this week, it was only $40. So if you think you can survive on $40, let me know how, but I cannot. So it is very vital that you book readings with me, personal readings, send donations, take a music lesson, just anything you can to help support me. If you have somebody in your family you know wants to study music, I teach that too. But just any revenue would be really welcome at this point in time. I would be really appreciative. All right, that is all the housekeeping. Now, let us do this extremely fun reading called Why Am I Still Single? Okay, so why am I still single? Tuned in Tarot, Divine Feminine Energy. This is the emotional feminine side of self. So your person would even think this from their emotional side, right? Why does divine feminine energy feel overall the reason that she is single overall? Well, because wishes don't come true, I guess. Divine feminine just feels like, you know, maybe it's just kind of like silly to think that this would happen or this could happen. And, you know, I'm realizing that this is using my incorrect microphone. So I'm sorry if there is noise happening because the fan is going on my computer. So I apologize. I did not choose the duet in order to do my YouTube reading. So my apologies. But she's just thinking like, you know, I was just like wishing upon a star and it's kind of childish. And I don't think I'm actually going to get the type of person that I'm really wishing for. So I'm still single because like what I'm wishing for doesn't really exist. That's kind of the overall energy in her mind. She's like, this is just a pipe dream. It's not real. Underlying all of her thoughts about why she's still single, we have the Nine of Wands. Isolation, being completely alone, being a victim kind of some circumstances that keep her single. You know, like her financial situation, her location, her lack of access to potential people that might fulfill her wishes. But yeah, so that's a big one for her. I'm just isolated. There's not really anyone around. I'm a victim of my circumstances. And of course, you know, if you're a victim, if you think you're a victim, you are going to find things in your environment that are going to confirm that belief. So what has made her think that she's like, what has been keeping her single from the past? So what is the thing in the past that has been keeping her single? The Justice card. So this can be from having been divorced at some point and having had the experience of what being married was like and being kind of afraid or intimidated to enter into a legal contract in terms of a relationship again. It can be about her karma. She can think that there are things that she's done that have, made it so that now she has to kind of suffer this experience of not being able to be in a relationship. And she can also be thinking that, like, I really had to balance the scales. I had to balance the energy in myself, and in how I acted with others. So those are some of the things that she's been thinking about why she's single. Right now, what she's thinking, the reason that she's thinking she's single is because of this High Priestess card. This is the second time I've seen this card today. It is the Twin Flame card in Major Arcana. The Chariot and the High Priestess are really commonly associated with Twin Flame energy. And so one of the reasons that she can think that she's single right now is because has this calling, this higher calling, because it's the High Priestess, right? So she has this spiritual calling to be on this twin flame journey, which has an emphasis on separation in it. And so there is sort of this feeling of, again, I'm picking up on this isolation, because the High Priestess is also just kind of alone, guarding that inner sanctum. So yeah, so she's thinking, it's just that I've chosen this to be a healer, or to be, this person who has insight, or who knows what's happening behind the veil. And because of that, because I'm like this twin flame, that's what's keeping me single. If I didn't believe in that, or if I didn't have to fulfill that role, then I would be in a normal relationship. And the thing that she thinks, I guess we'll use this position as what she thinks will help her to not be single anymore, because this is usually my third placement, is like, the future outcome kind of placement. So we're looking at what will end this being single energy. The King of Wands, a divine masculine taking action, to express his passion and love, and the monogamous king, because the King of Wands, while he is a very sexual energy, he has it under control. He's mastered it, unlike the Knight of Wands, who is still a little rough around the edges. But the King of Wands he's very fiery, very passionate, enjoys sexuality, but does not abuse it in any way. And so when she sees a masculine energy that is the divine masculine energy taking action, and there's a clear indication that that's the energy that he's in, then she will stop being single. This is what she thinks, okay? Now let's see how she feels. Why am I still single? This is a very interesting way to feel about it. This is the Sun card. And the Sun card is like happiness and joy and bliss. And also, if you have experienced being out in the sun too long, you can get sun sickness, you can get sunburnt, you can literally be killed by the sun eventually. So it's too much of a good thing. I'm still single because, maybe it's too good to be true that those wishes that I have would actually be fulfilled. I feel like that's too good to be true. That's one reason. Another reason is she feels that she's really had to become enlightened about a lot of the wounding she received as a child. So her inner child, gaining strength and being able to open up to receive the warmth of companionship and a relationship. Underlying her feelings about why she might still be single, we have the Wheel of Fortune, divine timing, this card of divine timing. This is such a strange depiction of it. I'm going to read I promised myself the next time that I got this card and had access to this book that I would actually read what this lizard and dog head thing really is on this card. Okay, so what it says is, Under a pitiless desert sky, which is interesting because we just talked about how the sun can like burn you. A sphinx rests her paw upon the wheel of fortune. So the sphinx then being this riddle that can't be solved. So this feeling that this divine timing energy is because she cannot solve this riddle. The wheel is carved with sacred and esoteric symbols that speak of the great mysteries of life, death, and rebirth. Two Egyptian gods stand beside the wheel. Snake-headed Typhon, who brings chaos and destruction, and jackal-headed Anubis, who accompanies the dead into the afterlife and beyond. Both are in Greek dress and have human bodies, denoting a union with the Greek god Hermes, who is also a guide of souls. Hermes adds discernment and intelligence to the powers of Typhon and Anubis, so that as our lives turn upon the wheel, we gain wisdom with each turning. The wheel of fortune cannot be halted in its timeless turning. To be born is to be on the wheel. The two sides of this card show two approaches to this inalterable fact. This side speaks of the great mysteries of the wheel, which can be pondered for a lifetime or many lifetimes and still never be fully comprehended. The Sphinx guards the secrets of destiny. Acceptance of this brings peace. Struggling to understand what is beyond mortal understanding brings despair. Okay, wow. So that tracks. So there is a part of her that is just like, the reason for me being single is not something I can fully understand or grasp. Like, I feel that it isn't something that I really can truly understand. Oh, and thank you for saying you love my shirt. My mom got it for me from, my mom works at the, it's called the Outreach. It's like, kind of like a thrift store, I guess, but it's run through, it's St. Vincent de Paul, like run through the church, Catholic church. And she always brings me stuff home, and I'm just like, okay, because like I can never afford to buy myself clothes, but she has really good taste. She's a Virgo, so she always finds the cutest stuff. Okay, so now we have, so that was what was underlying, just this thought of like, I can't figure out, I feel like I don't really know why. Like there's a mystery, there's a divine mystery of divine timing that is still keeping me single, which kind of resonates with this in her head, like just knowing that there's this divine element that is preventing her from being in a relationship. Okay, so what has she been dealing with in the past? What does she feel kept her single in the past? We have the Five of Pentacles energy, and it's clarifying the Justice card. Now, what's really interesting is this is actually the back side of the card. This is the front of the card, which is more like the traditional Five of Pentacles. We're missing the two individuals here, that one is guiding the other, but we're getting the like the cold winter and this sanctuary element. The Five of Pentacles is about poverty, lack consciousness, which comes up a lot in our readings. It's about feeling bereft, feeling left out, not included. And this side, we see that this person, in the traditional image, it's cold outside and you want to be inside where it's warm. But then when we get this card, we look inside, and what we see is that this person who's inside in the sanctuary, in the warmth, is feeling just as much despair as the person who is outside here in the cold, which is an interesting thing. So what I'm picking up on is that Divine Feminine feels that one of the reasons that she's still single is that the Divine Masculine is inside this warm sanctuary, and he is kind of at a loss. Like he doesn't know how to leave that comfort zone, leave that safety, leave that warmth, to venture out, to bring the feminine energy out of the cold. So she feels that the person perhaps who is representing her divine masculine energy is like, doesn't know how to make up for the imbalance, to overcome the karma between them, to maybe not be guilty over the disparity, the imbalance between the two of them. One has all this wealth and is impoverished in his soul, and the other has this wealth of knowing the power of the spiritual world, the sanctuary, being in a sanctuary of the soul, but not having any of the material wealth to protect them. So they're in the same position, like a mirror, which is really interesting. So that's what has been going on in the past. In this present moment, the reason that Divine Feminine feels she is still single is, and this is clarifying the High Priestess here, is having to do with the masculine energy, reputation, public recognition, being out in the open. On this side of the card, we see, again, there's warmth and there's like this laurel wreath, the bringing of peace. And we see it over here, but we're seeing like the smoking, burning remains. Because while a victory is something to be excited about, it's also representing that there has been this battle. So there has been all of this loss and all of this ruin. And so she feels that the masculine is really struggling to overcome the fear that the victory between the two of them coming into union is an emphasis of the destruction that was left behind in order for them to come together. So that's in the current energy. So just like she thought like, okay, I think what will help me not be single anymore is if the divine masculine can take action in this, in all of his mastery. And in her heart, what does she feel will help make her move out of this place of being single? It is the 10 of Swords in reverse. So for me, that is no longer letting her thoughts keep her stuck in this place where she is thinking of herself as all alone and single, and thinking of her chances at life to be completely dead. Because the magic of this card is we see this soldier who's been killed, so we think, but then when we flip the card around, we realize there's no one actually in the suit of armor. He's actually escaped this protection, and he's no longer contained within. So no longer thinking about herself or the idea of her dream of being with somebody as dead is something that she feels will help her move out of this energy of single. Okay, we're going to go back and we're going to get her advice. The advice, I'm really intending that the advice that came out in the oracle cards will literally tell her how to shift into a state where she isn't single. And the same thing will happen on the masculine side. But first, let's look at why the masculine thinks he is still single and feels he is still single. So overall, the reason why the masculine thinks that he is still single is because of this magician energy, which is really interesting, because this is an energy where someone feels like they are very powerful and they have all the tools they need, and they have asked for help from the divine, and the divine is actually helping bring something into the material. So the reason that he thinks he is single is because he wants to be. He's manifested that he is single. He's created that state for himself. That's he thinks that it is in his own, it's his own power that has caused him to be in this state of being single. Like he's the one that has the power to change it. Underlying all of his thoughts about why he's still single is the Two of Swords. And the Two of Swords is a refusal to make a decision, not to do something or to do something. One path is going to hurt somebody. The other path is going to hurt someone else. Or one path hurts you, one path hurts someone else. And so you just don't want to make a decision. You don't want to do anything to to disrupt or potentially harm. So you're just avoiding making a choice. And you're hoping that the divine is just going to make the choice for you. And of course, that brings tower moments. So, yeah. But he thinks the reason he's still single is because it is in his power. He chooses to be, he's manifested that. That is why he is single, why he's still single right now. So, why does he think that he is choosing to be single, I guess, since for him, he feels like this is in his power? Why does he think he's making that decision? What we're seeing come up, what he's been dealing with in the past is we saw this world card, and then we're seeing the Page of Swords card right behind it, hidden behind it. And the world card is about cycles completing. It's about, everything that you could possibly desire in the world. It's about vulnerability. It can be about chaos coming under control. The Page of Swords is about learning, being curious. It's also about watching and spying. It's about working up the courage, being brave enough to go do something or say something or take some kind of an action. So he thinks that one of the reasons why he's still single is because he's really been thinking about how to conquer the world. How does he conquer the world? How does he get to have everything that he wants? How does he get to have his cake and eat it too? Like, how can he make that happen? How will he do that? And he's trying to learn how to do it. And he's trying to see how to do it. And he's watching this divine feminine energy, who is his whole world, and just kind of trying to work up the bravery to actually create this world that he desires. Because ultimately, I don't think he feels like he wants to be single. Like, I don't think that's his entire, we haven't looked at his whole heart space yet, but I think that he just thinks he's single by choice, that it's his choice, that there's not anything outside of him that's keeping him single. So there's no other obstacles, there's nobody in the way. I guess it's possible that he could feel he was being manipulated, but I didn't see this in reverse. So I just think that he thinks that he's like, I'm single because I choose to be. I'm choosing to be. That's what I'm manifesting. That's what I desire right now. Because I want to give divine feminine the world, which requires me to be vulnerable, and I'm not really brave enough to do that. So his current thoughts about it, the Death card. This is an ending to some kind of a state and transformation energy, transforming from one state into another. So what he's thinking about is, I don't want to be single anymore. So I do actually want to end this state of being single. I am single right now by choice. That's why I'm still single, or I think that's why I'm still single. But when I think about it, I don't want that to be true anymore. So I was right about feeling like he didn't want to remain in that state. He wants to transform it. But I do think that he thinks his opportunity that he had with the divine feminine may have died, that he may have killed it because he chose to remain single and not be with her. So what does he think will fix this situation? What does he think will move him from being single into being in a relationship? The Page of Cups in reverse and the Ten of Swords in reverse, which is what divine feminine felt would end her being single. So the masculine thinks what would end him being single is if he stopped thinking about himself as emotionally underdeveloped, if he stopped doubting the true love feelings he has, if he stopped thinking of himself as awkward and goofy and like unable to express emotion or feelings. So he thinks, I think I could be single if I stopped preventing myself from actually going forward and expressing how I am, or, expressing my feelings, how I feel, and just being who I am in that process. And also, if I stop resisting apologizing for having chosen to put the feminine through this experience because there is guilt there for having done that. Okay, let's look at how he feels. How does he feel about why he is still single? He feels he is still single because of this King of Wands energy, which is what Divine Feminine thought would actually cause her to not be single. Now look at the contrast. Divine Feminine is like, if my Divine Masculine is in the King of Wands energy, I won't be single anymore. But remember that your thoughts are coming from the ego. And so your thought is like, well, if this is like this, then that. So the reason I'm still single is because this person isn't taking action. But then we go over here and we're looking at why does the Divine Masculine feel he's still single? And it's because he feels like the King of Wands, which is what Divine Feminine thought would keep her from being single. But it's not working because it's not just about the masculine taking action and this masculine energy taking action and doing and being bold and being pioneering. It's not only about that. It's about her stopping her thoughts from keeping her stuck. Because if you think that the only way that you're not going to be single is if a person comes and talks to you and you're not doing anything, you're not actually taking action yourself to do anything to put yourself in a position for the masculine energy to come and be in a relationship with you, then you're going to stay stuck. But going back to the masculine and how the masculine feels, he feels he's still single because of his pride, because he has a big ego and he has a lot of pride, and that pride is making him feel foolish, and he's thinking of himself as a fool, as somebody who resisted apologizing for something that so clearly you should just apologize for. And because he feels strong and proud and bold and pioneering, it makes him feel like an idiot that he hasn't done anything, which is so ironic because Divine Feminine is like, if my masculine just felt like a King of Wands, he would do it. And it's the fact that he does feel like this that makes him ashamed. So the Divine Masculine is dealing with wounds relating to shame right now. Underlying his feelings about why he thinks that he is still single is the Hanged Man, only it's the feminine that's hanging, the feminine that's in suspension in this image. So here is another situation where the masculine is showing us that the reasons he's still single have to do with his guilt, because he feels he's still single because he is keeping the feminine suspended because of his ego. And you know what? He is still single because of it. But he's also convinced himself that it's because he wants to be. He wants to be this, powerful energy. He wants to have the power over the feminine. But ironically, it's the feminine who holds power over him because it's making him incapable of taking action because of just simply feeling silly. Like, feeling silly is enough that he can't do anything. How powerless are you? And that's why the masculine energy doesn't like to be faced with those feelings, because it makes him feel like all of his thinking about himself amounts to nothing, when in reality he just won't do something because he feels silly. That means you're not much of a King of Wands, right? In his mind, like in his ego mind. So what's something he's been thinking that has about why he's still single? Something that has been on his mind, like, I'm still single because we have the King of Swords. I'm still single because I have to detach from my emotions, right? He also clearly wants to learn. He thinks of himself as the Page of Swords, but he feels like the King of Swords. So he feels like he doesn't have enough, or he thinks he doesn't have enough information, but he feels he's actually well equipped, intellectually, mentally, to figure out a strategy, follow a plan, tell the truth, be in his integrity. So He's thought of himself as able to detach himself from his emotion. I don't need to be in a relationship. I don't need to have this person that I love around me. That's a weakness. That's not a strength, it's a weakness. And so I'm cutting myself off from that because it keeps me from being able to focus on my work. It keeps me from being able to focus on my material world. It keeps me from being able to detach myself from empathy, which I have to do to engage in a lot of the behaviors I engage in. The problem with that is it's a complete lie. It's a complete lie that not being with the person that you want to be with like helps you focus on work. Like that doesn't make any sense at all. Being with the person that you love fills you with passion and interest and reason and purpose. So that would actually be a driving force in being good in your career, a driving force in creating something in your material world, creating a legacy. It's the opposite of what he's thought about himself. What is he feeling in this present moment? Told you. He is thinking, right? He doesn't want to still be single anymore. And I didn't see the card under until I just flipped it over. Four of Wands. How is he feeling about why he's still single? He strongly desires to have a union, but he had one and it died. It ended. And here's where we get that crossover where Divine Feminine has been thinking one of the reasons she's still single is because of an ending that happened from justice, a legal contract. So he's already been there, done that. Like he's already had some kind of long-term commitment that did not go well. That's already happened. And so that's another reason why we see him here in this energy of, I choose to remain single. Now, I'm thinking my own experiences flashing into my mind right now. And there was a song that my person that I associate with my masculine energy had put on a playlist that I listened to and I was like, okay. And he's put it's 2 times I've heard this song, or it might be more than that, but it's called like Shack Up or something. And it's like, we don't need to get married. We can just shack up. And I personally don't think I care about legal contract in terms of marriage because of my experience with my past marriage. I've had that experience. I understand how complex it is. I also intellectually know that my person suffered a huge financial loss from his ending of his marriage. So not getting legally married is not an obstacle to me being in a relationship with my person. But being committed to each other and having a sacred vow of commitment to each other is. And I do believe monogamy is part of what would make me happy. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I think that it is something that I desire. So I can understand how my person who would have an awareness that I deserve to be married, that I deserve to have somebody commit to me for life, that I deserve to have that kind of a relationship with somebody and be able to build a family and celebrate that kind of a relationship. I could see how if he is afraid to enter into another legal contract because of what happened the last time, how that might actually keep him single, how he might be like, I love this person and I would really love to be in a relationship with her, but I think that she wants this legal contract and I can't give her that. And I think she deserves it, even if I didn't say I didn't want it, and I can't give her that. And so I think that I should stay single because I think it would be worse for me to ask her to just, kind of like go along with whatever might happen, because that's literally what I've been having her do for the last 15 years. And I don't want to do that too. So I could totally see how my person, in regards to this reading, may choose to be single, like not from this energy of, I just want to be a player, or I just want to be able to be free or have my independence or anything like that. Like just not from an asshole kind of an energy. Because that's not my feeling with this Magician card, but more just that I'm trying to create my world and learn what is best and what works for me. And I don't want to hurt the divine feminine because she might want something that I can't give her. What makes the dynamic so frustrating is there's no conversation, there's no communication, there's no chance for one person to say, "Oh, I don't even require that," or "Oh, I understand that." Or, so that's what makes it frustrating, is that there's no dialogue about this energy. It's just these assumptions that are made. And we know what assumptions make of us all. Um, oh my God, you have to be kidding me. Just pull the final card. So the final placement, what does he think will end this state of being single, is no longer thinking of himself as childish or emotionally underdeveloped or unable to apologize and, etc. And what does he feel will end this state of being single? Time. Time. In time, this Wheel of Fortune, which was what Divine Feminine intuitively felt was keeping her single, in time, he will be able to make the change necessary to be able to be in union with the Divine Feminine. And if that stings a little, that's okay. That must just mean that you still need to find more joy in your own independence, in your own state of being single, in your own life, in the things that you are passionate about. You need to still find more joy and more fulfillment and more appreciation and more gratitude. That's what the time is for. The time is for you to fully appreciate. Think about a baby being born. A baby takes 10 months approximately to become, to leave the womb and be completely viable. And during that time, the baby has to be nourished, protected, and anticipated, planned for, prepared for. And then there is a bit of pain that comes with finally bringing the baby into the world. It is the time it takes and the suffering, the physical pain it takes, that makes that baby precious. That is what is required for the commitment that the parents then have to the child, because you watched this thing grow within you. You felt it grow within you, or you watched it grow within your partner's womb. You experienced the anticipation, the preparation. You worked extra hard to nurture that life. You worked out all the other things in your life as best as you could to be ready. And then you saw the pain it took to bring the life into this world, the blood, the near death experience that happens. And then you are so fully committed, hopefully, to bringing that child to its adulthood, because you spent the time and the energy and the effort to lay the foundation for the child to grow in a healthy environment and thrive. And then through that child, you get the opportunity to offer a healed energy, so that whatever you suffered or struggled with from your parenting, or whoever took care of you, you then don't inflict upon your child. You give them a different experience of life, a different opportunity of life. So if it sucks right now to know that the thing that will help is just this masculine needing time to make the changes in his life, just know that that makes the end result that you received so much more precious than if it happened overnight with no struggle and no suffering and no sacrifice. And that's just a truth of nature. But let's look at the advice. So what I promised you is that I would give you some oracles that will help deal with your thoughts and feelings about why you're single, so that you can move through that divine timing gracefully. Okay, that's how we'll look at it. So divine feminine, feminine, what will help you? Also, this reading is awesome. I'm just going to say, if I do say so myself, which I do. Divine feminine energy, what will help you is offerings and wealth is what this card says, which is really interesting because one of the major things you felt was really holding you back on your journey was poverty and lack consciousness. So I love that that message is coming through in this card. This is from the, it's a shamanic deck that I have, which I really like a lot. Not only the images are beautiful, but the messages are also very powerful. So Divine Feminine, what will help you right now? It is time to give back. Make a list of everything you are grateful for, and you will soon notice how rich you really are. So I just want to point out to you that if in a few days you see another Divine Masculine reading by my Tuned In Tarot account and you get pissed off because you still haven't experienced any union and you still haven't experienced a satisfying communication and there's nothing that has still happened, I just want to ask you to check yourself that day and ask yourself, did I sit down and make a list of everything I was grateful for to notice how rich I really am? Because if you didn't do that, then there is no mystery a few days from now why you're still not in union. There is no mystery why it's taking time for you to come into union. Because there's a lot of us, including myself, who hear these messages, intellectualize them, and don't take action, okay? Action is what you want this other person to take. And yet, you don't take action yourself. And you're literally given these clear instructions by the divine. And I'm not trying to ride you or make you feel bad because that is never my intention. I don't want you to just feel guilty. I want you to be like, oh shit, that's true. I definitely get a lot of messages from my guides about things I should do and I don't do them. And it's not because I'm a bad person. It's because I am literally designed to survive, not to thrive. And so I will choose comfortable behaviors, even if they leave me in uncomfortable situations, because I know how to survive uncomfortable situations. The truth is, I'm a lot more comfortable being single than I am being in a relationship because I've been single for a while. And even when I was in relationships, they weren't good, real solid Four of Wands relationships at all. They were devil card relationships, 100%. So if I know that following this instruction to sit down and express gratitude is going to end my being single, my ego that is striving to protect myself will find every reason under the sun. One of the, in Islam, there are many different names for the devil. And two of the ones that always stick out to me the most are the Whisperer and the Great Justifier. So you will have the Whisperer, right? The Whisperer that is insidious. That is like, you being single is safe. That's got nothing to do with you as a whole person. That's just one small little voice inside of you that has a lot of power and a lot of control because it uses fear to motivate you, and fear is an excellent motivator. Fear does not sustain lessons. It does not sustain lessons, but it motivates you initially. So that fear-based voice that is really afraid about being in a relationship because what if that relationship is too good to be true? What if you don't get what you wish for? What if you get something you don't really want, right? So just keep that in mind. Don't blame yourself when you don't do something that your guides tell you to do. Just understand that you didn't do it, not because you're a bad person or because you're stupid or because you're lazy or because you don't care about yourself or because you don't love yourself. You did it because you love yourself. You did it. You didn't do it because you were protecting yourself. But you can overcome the fear. You can say, hey, self, I know you're afraid of what might happen if we actually put ourselves all into this thing. But I believe that we're going to be safe, and I will make sure that no one ever abandons you. I will make sure that you are never alone, that you are never going to face anything on your own. I will always be there with you. So I think we should try this activity and just see what happens. And, if it's too scary, I'll be there to hold your hand. Like, that's how you have to treat yourself. So to receive, one must give. Everything is interconnected. So when you give, abundance will flow back to you in some form. Spirit provides for our needs. So make offerings and thanksgiving for all you have and all you are, a regular practice. So do this regularly. This can be done daily, anywhere, and at any time to great effect. Offerings can be made in many forms, such as fruit, nuts, and candles. Whatever you give is greater when infused with gratitude. Give something that is of importance or value to you, for then you really are giving. You can also make an offering through prayer, song, or by saying a simple thank you. Be humble and thankful. Hold the offering to your heart and allow it to become a blessing. This practice will enhance your connection with spirit and invite abundance to come your way. Offerings have been made to the gods throughout humanity's history. The practice of burying offerings such as water, cakes, bread, and pottery with the deceased dates back 100,000 years or more. In ancient Egypt, Asia, Europe, and Africa, specifically designated priests and priestesses performed ritual offerings of food, drink, clothing, perfumes, and flowers. Spirit houses still abound throughout Southeast Asia. So some of the other divinatory meanings of this card include: financial difficulties are soon resolved. An unexpected windfall comes your way. Focus on what you do want rather than what you don't. You are worthy. Practice the art of receiving. Gratitude ensures a bountiful crop. This offering speaks: give thanks and offer up with love. Ensure abundance from above. With humble heart, you must believe. Hold your hands out to receive. I really can't make that up. That is one of the most solid pieces of advice we could have gotten for how to end this state of being single. I have two more messages for the feminine, then we'll look at the masculine. So another thing that's going to help divine feminine move from this state of being single into a relationship is this card, Sing Your Own Song, Canary Spirit. It's number 12. And this message says, Canary Spirit arrives to help you find your authentic voice and express what is in your heart. Free yourself to experience your inner light and let it shine. As Canary Spirit sings to remind you of your inherent joy and to support you as you sing your own song. Now is the time to let the world know who you really are. Canary Spirit's message is that you are free to be yourself and express your most cherished desires. The world wants to hear your song. If your inquiry is about a relationship, you are being called to fully be yourself, for only then will you find harmony and joy. You can make music with others so beautifully when your note rings true. So you have to have gratitude, you have to have appreciation, and you just need to be yourself. So if you are people pleasing, if you are doing work that isn't meaningful to you, if you are wearing clothes because you feel that your body isn't appropriate for certain styles that you actually really want to wear, if you are putting on makeup because you were programmed to do that before you go to the store when you were a little girl. I literally watched, my mother would not go to the store if she didn't have makeup on. She still will not. I just resisted that. But some people do that. If you are doing things to try to prevent yourself from really shining, from being out in the open, from being expressed as who you fully are, take note of that and start small and start shifting into a more authentic expression of yourself. Remember, there's time, right? There's time that is happening. It's going to take time to come into the relationship. What are you doing during that time? Are you listening to readings to try to find out when it's going to happen all day? You can check in on readings. There's nothing wrong with that. But if that's the only thing you're doing, you're just going to keep watching me for a long time, which I appreciate. I do love having fans, but still, you have to be doing these other things. Remember, you're waiting for someone else to take action, and you're not taking action. So appreciate your life, appreciate everything you have, appreciate all the abundance in the world, and be yourself. The final card that's coming up is the protection message from this Wisdom of the Oracle, from the Flexible card, number 19. And it says, when you or someone else becomes too rigid, you lose the access to growth and untapped potential and find yourself in an us versus them scenario. Loosen up, open your mind and heart, and see if a more flexible approach feels better. Rigidity will set you up for a fight when there are only losers, where there are only losers and no winners. Could you find a way to bring about a result that is mutually beneficial? Meet in the middle. Spirit makes a great mediator. So the thing that's coming up very strongly for me on this one is if you are rigidly fixated upon what a relationship looks like, how it is initiated, how it is going to happen, how it's going to be when you're in it, and who it's going to be with, your rigidity is going to keep you single. So you have to be much more flexible, much less rigid about the ways, means, about who it's going to be. Just be flexible, because you're going to miss opportunities if you're too rigid. So appreciation, be yourself, and be flexible. Now, Divine Masculine's turn. What is going to help the Divine Masculine move out of this place of thinking he should be single because of what happened to him in the past and because of his fear about how to overcome that and his pride, etc.? We have the Tree of Life and we have Conception. I literally talked about Conception today, so that tracks. All right, let's take a look at the message for the masculine. This is what will help. Now, this is also you, remember, this is just your masculine energy inside of yourself. And when you work on those things inside of you, then the person who's reflecting back your energy does that too. So really you have 2 homework assignments, not just one. Nothing can grow, no person, plant, or idea, if it is not properly nourished. From the moment an idea is conceived, it is vital you nurture it so it can come to fruition. If you are thinking about having or extending a family, be sure you are doing so for the right reasons. Calling a divine being into this world is a big responsibility. If you have an amazing idea, then research, prepare, and be ready to see it through. All additions to our lives bring forth challenges and change, but also offer important spiritual connections. We all have roots that are seated in our past lives and branches that stretch out into our future possibilities. How you tend to your tree affects what it produces, either a healthy apple or spoiled fruit. A dying tree, weak at the roots, or bereft of foliage means a compromised connection to the source of all life, as well as to your inner wisdom. From such a place, very little stands a chance of being given life. Wow. Not only did I talk about this at length, you can go back and see it on YouTube if you missed it over here on TikTok. Not only did I talk about it, but the idea of having this relationship go anywhere is going to require that the masculine energy actively nourish the feminine. And nourishing includes time and attention and affection and communication. Ancient and modern religions' use of the tree of life to symbolize the process of attaining wisdom or enlightenment. The Kabbalah, Axis Mundi, and Bodhi tree are all prime examples. The tree is a pillar of strength, a connection between realms, and a symbol of balance. Trees remind us of the importance of nurturing ideas from tiny seeds if you want them to thrive and bear fruit. Some of the other divinatory meanings include solid preparation is the key to your success. Take responsibility for your actions. A new idea needs careful planning and consideration. See a project through from start to finish. You started this, now you finish it. A challenge is a blessing in disguise. A decision needs to be made. Holy shit. Make a choice, bro. Make a fucking choice. And time to reinvent yourself. What did the masculine need? Time to change, right? Time to reinvent himself. The Tree of Life speaks and it says, from first small seed to mighty tree, be sure to learn from all you see. Keep roots healthy and leaves in light. Enlightenment awaits. Joy in sight. Okay. Look at this. Crow Spirit Co-Create, which is literally this magician card coming up again. This is number 17. So this is more advice for how the masculine can finally come into union and no longer be single. Crow Spirit wants to know why you think there is no magic in the world. Or do you believe that there once was, but it ran out, leaving nothing but ordinariness? Although conditions have become challenging, you have no reason to believe that everything you've set an intention for will elude you. Right now, the outer world is shifting. Can you feel it? Maybe you are fretting about experiencing the results of some of your poor choices or judgment from the past. Crow Spirit is here to remind you that you can always course correct and get back on track. Maybe you've been hit by a loss or disappointment as a result of an event that had absolutely nothing to do with your manifesting, yet it has shaken you to your core. Crow Spirit asks you to trust that no matter the temporary conditions, things will right themselves very soon. The law of balance makes it inevitable that this too shall pass. I can't get over that. It's just crazy. All right, so masculine, he needs to nurture the connection, make some kind of a decision to do so, and he needs to not feel that just because this didn't work out when he tried this before, or because he's ruined the opportunity before, because he's experienced death in the twin flame connection, or whatever it is, he just has to embrace that just because that happened before does not mean that it's going to continue to elude you, precisely because of the time that you have had, that you have been changing. And his final message is this card, which we actually saw come out for the reading, something from yesterday, Between Worlds. I think it was a message I pulled for a Tune in Tarot or something. I can't remember now. But what this message says for him is transitions, not being quite out of one situation and fully engaged in another, temporary blindness, and no man's land. So that actually fits that to the temporary blindness thing with the Two of Swords, the blindfold. Between the worlds is where you must let go of the tendency to make assumptions. I literally talked about assumptions. This is a time when you are unable to see what is ahead. Cultivate curiosity with that Page of Swords energy and trust the process of change and growth. You are done learning the lessons of recent experiences. In this place between what was and what will be is a state of making and unmaking and making again. What is essential now is to admit not knowing. There is a great freedom and power to be unleashed. A mystery that is not yours to understand weaves the web of life within a divine matrix of consciousness greater than your own thoughts, feelings, beliefs, desires, and decisions. The seeds that were planted, that Tree of Life seed, the seeds that were planted in the past begin to take root, but what surfaces will probably not be what you expect. When you are between the worlds, you are invited to see with the curious eyes of a child glimpsing a rainbow for the first time. Do so, and you will not be disappointed. This is a time to explore the new energy between you and another. It is not a moment for certainty, but rather for discovery and curiosity. You don't yet know if this will last forever. So allow yourself to explore who you are and what is reflected back to you. This relationship is meant to educate you about yourself. What do you need? What do you like or dislike? What values are important to you? You are in a critical phase of your relationship that is not to be dismissed or hurried. So this is just telling the divine masculine, listen, buddy, you don't need to stay single because you're afraid of marriage. You're afraid of marriage because of who you married last time. But if you actually take the time and the time to get to know and nourish this connection, then what you fear eluded you, it will not elude you again. So if we were going to look at this masculine energy within us, if we identify in our feminine energy, and we would apply this not just to the relationship with another person, but to our relationship that we have with whatever creative endeavor. Just because you tried to do whatever creative endeavor that you were interested in the past and it did not work out is not an excuse to not do it anymore. It just means you chose the wrong version of how you expressed your creativity, or you tried one thing and you got tired of it and it didn't work out, and you're just meant to renew and nourish that creativity in whatever way feels good to you now. Get to know it, be curious, even though you don't know what's going to happen. And that message came through with the Wheel of Fortune when I decided to read it today as well. So if you had the pleasure of being at this entire reading from beginning to end, I'm sure your mind is blown a little bit by all the synchronicities in this reading because it was pretty crazy. If you did not have the chance to see the whole thing, you can, of course, catch it on Tuned In Tarot YouTube. It is, I'm streaming there live right now, so it is available right now. You can even like scroll back and start watching it from the beginning if you want to. If you're interested in receiving a reading from me, I am now going to do personal readings over here on TikTok. So you can go over to Pearl's Prayers TikTok if you would like a reading if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are a member, I will do 2 card readings today. If you are not a member and you would like a reading, it is $22 or $33. You can send through Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App at pearlsprayers.com/explore. If you're wanting a private reading, you can go to tunedintarot.com or any of the links. All the links you're going to see ways to get to the reading, but any of the links below will help you. But tunedintarot.com is going to give you just my tarot content. So you can actually book music stuff there too, but you can do it on either place. But on the tunedintarot.com, you're going to see a $33 and $44 video reading option. There is also, right now it's on sale, I think it's only $5.55 to have a 1-card reading if you just want to test it out. You can ask a question and I can send you a card. And then, of course, if you want to support my channel, please become a member at my website, pearlsprayers.com/explore. There's a become a member button, and you receive a Tell Me Everything reading, usually weekly. I try to put that out. Which I guess I should have done yesterday, but yesterday I had the pleasure of going out of my house, and so I took it, and it was great. And I had sushi, and it was delicious. So I didn't get to it yesterday, but I will do it tomorrow. So the members will have a full-length Tell Me Everything spread for them, exclusively for members. There are readings going back from last year. So there's tons of content that's already still there. All timeless readings. I'm a firm believer. You just scroll, click the one that catches your eye, and you'll probably get what you need. So that's all available for members. There's going to be more member stuff that's rolling out, having to do with my music as well, early releases, demos, different things like that. Access to cover songs that I can't really distribute legally without going through a lot of trouble. So I will just distribute it to my members. So that's all going to be available on my site for the current members and if you decide to become a member. But please do something to support my channel financially because I'm really having a hard time this month in terms of having income come to me, and it would be really helpful. If you decide to get a reading today or send a donation, I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here with me. If you're still here with me on YouTube, I'm going to switch over now to TikTok, and I will see you on YouTube a bit later, probably Monday for the reading. There will maybe be replays that you can have access to from this weekend, and you can catch me live again on Pearl's Prayers over on TikTok until my Tuned In Tarot account gets to 1,000 followers. Once I hit 1,000 followers over there, I will be going live to do tarot exclusively on Tuned In Tarot, and Pearl's Prayers will be reserved for music. So you'll catch me doing rehearsals. If I have a live show, I'll put the phone there, etc. And that is all YouTube. So I'm going to close my YouTube now, shut it down, and head over here to TikTok and answer some of these questions I'm seeing come up. Have the best day, everybody.